Another edition of Bookstore Brew while I am out of town. So we are sitting down with Kris Drew from Menace Sports and Dead Air Sports to talk to him about the media landscape. If you don't check out Chris's Signal Lost on Dead Air Sports, then you probably think I had an original idea for this show. Kris does a daily show on Dead Air Sports called Signal Lost. And it's in this format. He does a great job of breaking down the media, all the things happening in internet clips. He is so good at this. So I figured let's have him on this show and pick his brain a little bit. Let's go.
Ohio State, historically, good program. You're not Notre Dame. You're not USC. You're not Alabama. You're not even like Florida, kind of. Like,
this is an insanely horrendous take.
I had to show it. I'm bringing Kris Drew on. We referenced it in the last interview, but I told you a couple weeks ago I wouldn't watch the whole thing. I had to show it. And did I just show it to show how much weight I've lost since November of last year?
Dude,
yeah, a little bit.
You look good then. You look good now. So shout out to you for losing the weight. But dude,
gotta love Ozempic, man. Modern science. It's great.
Modern science. That was a crazy day on the app. When you guys dropped that, did you expect it to bleed over to the Ohio State sphere as quickly as it did?
Oh, absolutely not. Like for those who've listened to Kirkwood and Dunn and from the beginning, and that might be like 15 people, right? Like when you get started and you're not connected to a network or not have any name, like this Bookstore Brew that you're going to be on is new. Well, this already has way more listeners than Kirkwood and Dunn did at the time that dropped. And we had just got onto YouTube and Tim had been pushing me to do video clips. So we had just started clipping. So no, absolutely not. Did we think we had 400 followers on Twitter at the time? Like, of course we didn't think it was going to get. I had people from my family who never knew I was doing a podcast was like, look, there's this Ohio State Facebook page that your face is on, and they're talking about you. And then you come in. I mean, we talked about this last time you came on for an interview, but you come in, you're like, hey, let's have an interview. And I'm like, I have no idea who you are, man. I have no idea.
Yeah.
I was not in the YouTube creator space like I am now. So yeah, it was crazy.
Dude, that was a really funny day on the Twitter sphere, because I think that Ohio State fans, myself included maybe, did not quite understand the Indiana, viewpoint for a while, and they seemed to be angered by it. I was never angered by it. I thought it was entertaining, and I felt like the Big Ten needed an extra voice.
Yeah.
That, the puppy will bite us a little bit, but we need them to bite the SEC was my emphasis. Because I was gonna sit there and champion you guys and be like, look, we have another quality team because we've got quality coaching. But what I didn't expect was parts of the Indiana fan base to be so confident in kind of their ability or willingness to go win. And that's how I came across it. I saw the clip on Twitter. I think maybe Juck posted it. Somebody posted it. And I went and found it, because that was at the beginning of the Signal Lost era. That was when Signal Lost was me reacting to, other fan bases' medias. And I had not found an entertaining 2-person show, because that's what I want. I want multiple person shows that I react to. And then you guys came across, and it took me about 20-30 minutes in to realize what was going on, and then I literally obsessed over it. I was like, this is
you watch the whole episode. In your episode, I should ding you for copyright, because it's one of your most watched Signal Lost.
It is, dude.
Claim content. It's crazy. Your worst take, because we have some crossover fans. By the way, Ohio State fans kind of stuck around. We had 2 Ohio State fans on Bookstore Brew last week in Kirkwood and Dunn comment and be like, hey, I started watching you last November. Sometimes you guys say crazy things and paint. Someone specifically said, and paint Ohio State fans with a broad brush. But I like your guys' content. Well, yeah, of course we paint Ohio. You talk about the most extremes of every fan base, which at that point you were painting us as the Indiana fan base, because it was what is Indiana media saying?
I absolutely,
and it's entertaining.
You guys. I why brush you guys? Because that, unfair or not, the role in media that we all assume is that when you put yourself out there, you represent Indiana fans in that moment, in that medium. I'm not
Yep.
going to address the Indiana fans that I'm not talking to because I'm
Yep.
talking like to and about you two. But no, there were some takes there, and I was like Mr. Arrogant Ohio State fan, and then of course you guys went on to go win. I'm surprised more Indiana fans didn't circle back to that episode to like cut me up. But
Well, Indiana fans, by the way, I have taken down your names. If you go through the comments, there's so many Indiana fans like, I don't even know who these guys are. Like, they don't represent us. And I'm like, eat you, Brute? Like, you're stabbing us in the back? Like, we're gonna putting ourselves out there. We got an Ohio State fan just dogging us, and then you're like, yeah, let's pile on. Like, again, Indiana fans sometimes, especially, we're like newborns in this football world, like trying to figure out how to act, and like you defend the Crimson, you defend the Hoosiers.
It's like family, right? Like inside this
Yeah.
house, like I can yell at you about being like disrespectful or irresponsible, but outside the house, like I'm not going to agree with the rivals that your behavior needs.
Yeah,
needs
exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah, you
keep
can
it in
come
the
on our
family.
comments and tell us we suck, but do not go on another rival and
Yeah.
say they suck. Like,
But
yeah,
it's
so
funny because I think those Indiana fans maybe didn't watch the whole thing because one of the things
Yeah.
when we met was I sent you the clip of me talking about like
Mm-hmm.
what I thought was happening about like Signetti is getting fans to believe, and if they don't all believe, whatever, but to get fans to like really buy into this and make it feel like this is not a blip on the radar, this is not a 1-year wonder, this is not a TCU situation, I thought was really important. And I kind of gathered it from your guys' clip, and then there was a signal loss that I did earlier before I came up with the name where it was like street interviews at an Indiana game, someone asking, Indiana fans, like, are you guys going to beat Ohio State? And some of them were fake confidence, some of them were real confidence. And I was like putting that together kind of in real time with your guys' episode.
Well, I think I disgust myself every time I get on a mic to talk about the Big Ten because I am very complimentary of Ohio State. And I think where Tim and I were at that time was we were super confident about it. Like, I think Tim said, if we score, 24 points, we're going to win, guaranteed. Because, he just felt like, and you kind of got him on that. And then because no one's scoring that many points against Ohio State's defense. And lo and behold, we didn't. But, it was also everyone kind of forgot about the other side of the ball, like that conversation of what we could do to potentially your offense. I just have to say, because you go watch that whole thing, and Kris points out everything. You're very complimentary, actually. Like, that's what's funny is I watched it. I learned a lot about your thoughts on how we were doing our show, which is great. Because that's if you watch,
if my micro,
it's great.
Yeah, as
yes,
you go through things.
I was telling people I did an intro to this interview. If you think Bookstore Brew is a unique idea, it's not. I ripped off Kris's show. It is just what Kris was doing. I was like, you know what? I can bookmark things and comment on them too. Like, that's what I'm going to do every morning. But going back to this, is we were just so frustrated because Ohio State was coming across, and you even came across it a little bit in your show, is like, this is the Indiana that we always beat. We've won 30 straight years. And it's like, no, this Indiana is actually different. And we didn't think necessarily, we predicted ourselves to win, but we thought it was going to be a close game. And I've done the post-game clip to do a best of show. And we said after the game, I don't want to play Ohio State again. We had no interest in playing you guys again because I felt like you guys were the best team last year, or right next to us or a notch below. It was a 50-50 time. We played 10 times, each wins 5.
You know what's funny? I'm glad you brought that up, that you guys were not the Indiana that that we were used to beating. And my defense for that, when I give a take, is that as an Ohio State fan, I've been an Ohio State fan since 2006. I have seen several Big Ten teams trot out their best team in an era, and it hasn't mattered against us. So I was approaching things like that. I remember, there was a brief window in time where it's we were getting the very, very best Michigan State teams, and they beat us every now and again. But there was a moment in time where it was oh, this Penn State is not the same old Penn State you beat every year. It's okay, we're going to beat you again. So I feel as an Ohio State fan, I've seen these schools kind of hit peaks and hit highs that like are a little bit newer, and it was kind of same old for us. I mean, like I'll never forget like when Nebraska was a top 10 team when they were here. It was like, well, the Nebraska you guys are used to beating, like that they're gone now, and it's like, okay, cool. Here's 56-9. Now, did I think it was going to be that big? No. Those that have been listening to my Menace content for a while know that I've always been a huge Mendoza fan, back to the Cal days. And so I was excited and kind of pushing him, and I kind of got annoyed a little bit by him being the Heisman frontrunner going into that Ohio State game, just because I felt like he created some Heisman moments that were a little bit manufactured, so I was a little bit hard on him for that. But you're right. I mean, what I didn't factor in or didn't consider as much, and partially because I'm such an offensive football guy, was I didn't give your defense near the respect I needed to. And maybe that's
you had a historically
like,
great defense, so it was like no one is close to Ohio State's defense of what you thought all season long, but then come to find out like Indiana was pretty damn close.
No, you guys are right there, and more disruptive than I was ready for. And I think that like, you know, part of my, and this is where I'm still working out, like in the getting rid of the rest of my Big Ten bias. When I see Indiana shut down a bunch of Big Ten teams, like my stance is, and it's a biased stance. My stance, instead of like, oh my God, Indiana shutting down these really good offenses, my stance is, oh, like Big Ten offenses are archaic, and like Indiana was just able to kind of like be basic and like shut them down. The same way that sometimes I feel about Iowa and the way they've shut down Big Ten defense for the last 10 years. And so like my internal bias was kind of stopping me from giving you guys credit on that front. At the same time, like I thought I was watching the best defense ever. Like I thought my defense at Ohio State, like, and this is also super biased. I'm from Akron, so 30 minutes away from Cleveland. Arvo Reese had been one of my favorite players since he was in high school. And like watching it play, I was telling people like, hey, this is like Lawrence Taylor, but make a middle linebacker. like no one's doing anything against us. So yeah, I definitely didn't give you guys the credit that I deserved. But and I went into it too, having seen Tim say that we're not even Florida. So I went into it like already like teeth out, ready to roll. And then it dawned upon me during the episode what was happening. And I was like, oh my God, I get it. This is awesome.
Yeah. Well, we actually, you had a comment and you just shared it right there, which was in one of your shows where you talked about the rising up of the Penn States, the Michigan States, even the Michigans. Like people, yes, Michigan has beat you all, but that's more about you guys losing to them than Michigan actually being an elite Big Ten team. 2023 probably notwithstanding.
2016 they were at their most elite. I think their 2016 team was their scariest team, and it was like, all right, dealt with them.
Yeah, yeah, and we did a whole segment on your comments about can Indiana rise up to actually be a true challenger? And I used the word rival. And of course that triggered your fans, right? But can it be a true rival to Ohio State? And of course, Tim's like, yeah, in a few years, like we're going to replace Michigan, which he's just, speaking in his most extremes, because we both don't believe that. But like Tim, when he gets rolling, It's fantastic. But I think it is a great point that you've made. You made it here, which is James Franklin beat you that one time and was like Big Ten champion. Michigan State like had caught you. Purdue beat you at one point, but God knows Purdue wasn't a Big Ten dominant. And then Michigan is the most overrated program in the history of the Big Ten. Like, they had the most wins, but they don't have sustained success like Ohio State has. Right. So can Indiana be that for the next 5 years to you? Can you guys do this? And we just we're recording this on Thursday, last night's Wednesday's episode. So go listen to our SWOT analysis on Kirkwood and Dunn. We said we have an opportunity that if we beat you at home this year and have a 2-game win streak, and I think if we beat you at home, we have a good shot at winning the Big Ten, that like we can actually be the first like sustain like, oh no, like Indiana's right there challenging you for dominance of the Big Ten. Because there's no doubt Ohio State's the most dominant Big Ten team ever.
Yeah,
not historical dominance. We're talking about present dominance.
No, I think historical dominance too. I mean, like you're talking about like 9, losing seasons.
Yeah, Ohio State is the most dominant Big Ten team ever, and Indiana, no matter if they win 3 straight Big Ten titles, isn't going to challenge that. That's what I'm trying to say. I'm talking about present challenging.
I have more respect, I think, for Indiana than most. Like when Tim made the rivalry comment, I I laughed. I like Tim. I laughed a little bit, but then I kind of took a step back, and I'm old enough to remember that I hated Clemson more than I hated Michigan up until 2021 because like
Yeah.
we weren't losing to Michigan. Like Michigan every week for me was like, or every year for me was like, oh, like that's just our auto win. And in 2021, when we lost to them, it like was a unique feeling. It's like, oh my God, like this is horrible. So I had more of a hatred and rivalry for Clemson through my formative years than I did for Michigan.
Was
I
that
think
your
that
Georgia Tech brain though, like influencing that one?
no, because like Georgia Tech, like we beat Clemson a bunch.
Yeah,
Like we were
that's
whooping
true.
on Clemson, and I didn't really have any disdain for Clemson. My disdain came from like the Braxton Miller injury because that was one of my favorite
Yeah.
Buckeyes ever. And then I also think Dabo's problematic and racist, and Clemson's racist. But that's like another another show.
Another
But
Bookstore Brew.
yeah, that's another show. I I think that they're going to end up challenging Ohio State as the top rival in the conference, um, or it's going to be Oregon. I think
Yeah.
that the Oregon variance is going to provide more of a challenge because of the travel.
Mhm.
And so I think that like some of those games, like I think Oregon is going to have more room for error when they play us because of the travel and because that the West Coast East Coast thing seems to like take its toll on teams. But I mean, I am two eyebrows raised and like high alert for Indiana this year in particular. So I mean,
Yeah.
I'm expecting them to be like the top challenger. I'm expecting it to be the big three, and the big three will be Oregon, Indiana, and Ohio State. And Oregon's my national title pick this year.
I'm going to say something that I hope does not derail us because we're supposed to be talking about the media landscape too. But
Yeah, we are.
I don't think in 5 years Oregon is in the same division, I'll
Yeah,
say,
no, I agree.
as Ohio State and
I agree. That
Indiana.
checks. West Coast Division. Yeah, like we're near
Yeah.
the pods. So that
Yep.
that could
We're going to go
and
Pods.
Indiana is just closer to Ohio.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So let's talk about the
What you
media
got?
landscape because I'm having you here. If you don't follow Kris Drew, don't follow him on social media because he already said no. I'm just kidding. You can follow him on social media,
No,
but
literally don't. If you
he's
do,
not very
it's
good
gonna
at
be
it.
like it's gonna be like an abandoned building.
But if you catch Chris's show when he puts it out, he breaks down media. College football
Yeah.
landscape right now is an interesting space because obviously you have very brand biased ESPN.
Mhm.
Honestly, you have Joel Klatt as the Big Ten talking head at the moment.
Yeah.
And you have like these, and CBS Sports has this weird relationship with the Big Ten where they go do most Big Ten things, but they have Southern football guys, like their
Bingo.
biggest Brad Crawford, Bud Elliott, Danny Cannell. And it's not just SEC because Danny Cannell's an SEC hater. It's just like it's the South and the
Mhm.
Southern teams are the best football programs. And Bud Elliott, I love Bud Elliott. I'll be the first to say. But the man has a blue chip bias. He just sees everything in terms of how his rating service of 24/7 does it. And then you got Tom Fornelli, who's like the actual Big Ten talking head on there.
Yeah.
So, like, where do you sit on what the college football landscape media looks like? Where should people actually consume? Is it in this independent stuff? And if anyone gets too big in the independent world, is On3 just going to gobble them up and it doesn't matter?
Yeah, there is a weird thing going on with the Shannon Terry like On3 like talent acquisition because they seem really interested in so talent acquisition used to just be like talent acquisition, but
Yeah.
right now, ever since kind of the McAfee deal went through, and that's been really, really successful for ESPN, it has been audience acquisition as kind of like the
Yeah.
substitute. So On3 is doing the thing where they are grabbing big personalities right now, and kind of putting them on3 to like kind of almost like adopt audiences because they have the money for it, and they also are kind of tied to recruiting services, and like recruiting service wise you are going to get definitely more beneficial coverage in the South because the South has better high school football, and so that's you're going to get some ESPN SEC bias on that front naturally. It's been weird to watch On3 operate. I think On3 is kind of becoming a giant slop factory. There's a couple shows that like I thought used to be good, but have become clear to me that it's like, okay, let me just, say the same like 4 or 5 points, which is what makes the offseason kind of feel a little bit tired if you look at just On3. I would recommend, honestly, oof. I would recommend Solid Verbal Podcast. If
Yeah.
someone like held a gun to my head and was like, "Hey, like I'm looking to get into college like media, and I'm looking for like a well done, professional, thoughtful show," I'm probably going Solid Verbal. I like that they
Those
don't
guys are
spend.
really bad at the social element though. Like they
They
don't like
are.
put their stuff out there. Like I've listened to it. They kind of miffed me a little bit during the playoff last year talking about Indiana. They were not
Oh, did they? I didn't see. I
a
haven't heard their Indiana
believer.
stuff. I listen to their stuff in the offseason a little bit, and I really
Yeah.
enjoy it. No, but I have not heard their Indiana takes. But ooh, unfortunately, dog, like, there's not a lot of really good shows because we are derived from a world where right now everybody in media starts off as a super fan of one of the top dogs. And
Yep.
so you're not getting like true proper coverage.
What do you think about like so Adam Brenneman last week when this is airing came out with like he literally had a tweet where he sat down with Sig and was like he had a tweet about how they're not rebuilding, they've upgraded, like they have more talent
Yeah.
this year, blah blah blah. And then literally goes in a clip for CBS Sports that Indiana is not as good as last year and they're going to go 8-9.
He's a
And
faker, dude.
you all the time call that out. Is like they
Yeah.
take both sides so that JD Piquel is notorious for this. Is like they take both sides so that then they can share the clip of what's good in the side they took if whatever turns out. What when you got those kind of people in the media right now, but then you have Brandon Walker, which is not everyone's cup of tea, but the man at least will say what he thinks and say like this
I
team's bad
enjoy
in his
Brandon Walker
bias.
a lot. At least like Brandon
Is that
Walker,
going to
like
work?
it's entertainment value and it's like
Yeah.
not hypocritical. I'm glad you brought up the hypocritical thing because like when I see that, it reminds me that okay, like no one in here is like doing this to be authentic. Everyone's in here like it's a rat race. And I
Yeah.
think that gets frustrating to like see the guys at the top like when like do the rat race.
Yeah.
I'll never forget, dude. Brooks Austin and I had like a very long, aggressive disagreement before we recorded a show. And one of the things he said to me, and I think he was preparing to like lawyer up against me, is what it was. He said that I did irreparable damage to his image and to
What?
his ability to like get Big Ten fans to listen to his show.
I don't know how he
And
could lawyer up against you about that. Like,
well, he was
there's no.
just like trying to use big words. Like he threatened me in the DMs with legal action or whatever. I don't whatever. And one of the things he's like does is like does the really hypocritical thing. And he
Yeah.
like told me that like Ole Miss is nationally title relevant, and like Washington isn't in modern football.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, Washington just played in a natty. And he was like, well, Washington played in a natty and lost their head coach. And I was like, well, didn't Ole Miss lose their head coach? And so you get people like doing the hypocritical thing that like ultimately ends up being a turnoff for me, which is why like I'm not on social media a ton because it'll just like kind of frustrate me seeing these guys kind of flip flop sides based on who they're talking to. And so one of the things that I'm really proud of that I do myself is like if I have a stance, if I have a point, I will vocalize it no matter who I'm in front of. To avoid that. Josh Pate did it the other day, dude. Josh Pate, like I think a week or two ago, I texted you. I did an episode about it, but Josh Pate like said that I never said the SEC was better than the Big Ten.
Yeah.
And like my sick brain, because I like consume so much content.
Yeah, you knew the SEC mic interview and you're like, bam.
Yeah,
that's who it is.
Like, you can't run from it. And so the disingenuousness of all this like makes it hard to like find media you like. And also like it makes media feel like gaslighting at times, like the big conglomerates at least.
I don't know if Buckeye fans do this a lot. Like I'm not in their algorithm as much, and I'm sure other fan bases do this, but like Indian fans love the bookmark. They love to like track people, what they say. And then, I mean, there's literally an account called Hoosier Archives that like goes in and like finds all your takes from the last 2 years and we'll retweet it and like comment like from 2 years ago, like and stuff like that. Very entertaining for me. I don't actually do that a lot because I'm big on, hey, you put yourself out there on the internet and you take one stance. Like that's like, I'd rather you do that than be like neutral, kind of what we're talking about. But
JD Piquel, my joke with him is that he's the I hate cancer guy.
I know, gosh. This
Because
is
look,
on my show,
everybody,
by the way, so I'm clipping that one because that one I love that. I love that line so much, and you won't put it out there. It's so funny.
you could put that out. JD McKell is Mr. I hate cancer. Like, okay, thank you for making such a bold stance, good brother. But no, yeah,
Oh
like a lot of
man.
people, like I don't know, the Indiana stuff is funny to like see tweets like that, like kind of resurface. I see it more
Yeah.
in baseball than I do in college football, though.
Oh really? I mean,
Mhm.
people have watched your interview on Kirkwood and Dunn. Like you are a big baseball guy, but and a
Yep.
Yankee fan, which I think that's a Yankee hat that you have turned around there. So thank
Dude,
you
yeah,
for being respectful for not putting that in my face right now.
the Yankee Ohio State thing, but I'm surprised I don't catch more strays for it.
I am actually surprised you don't get that a lot because that I mean remember like that was a meme for a while like when you had
Dude,
like the Duke,
Yankees,
Ohio State,
Lakers,
Yankees,
Ohio
Golden
State.
State, Lakers, yeah.
Yeah.
Uh so going back to this stuff. You just said you're not on social media very much, which you're really not. But you do a
Yeah.
whole show every night where you have 1,000 clips of things that you've found on X because X is the best
Yeah.
to do it because they don't believe in copyright laws. So
I guess maybe that's a poor way to phrase it. I don't tweet or like do stuff on social media. I will go and like sit down for like an hour or two and like bookmark a bunch of stuff. And since signal loss has kind of taken off, one of the things that's happened is that my DMs are flooded with "Hey, react
yep.
to this." My mentions are flooded with "Hey, react to this."
Yep.
And so
I
usually
get
like
that.
if I
I
go to
actually get that now too, which is great. And if you're listening to Bookstore Brew, please keep doing it because it
it's
does make
super
my job
helpful.
easier
It's
when you're
super
sending me
helpful.
stuff.
It stops me from doom scrolling
Yes.
because it
Yes.
is
Right.
all right there.
Yeah. I almost
So
do you almost feel guilty though when like you don't like you get something and you're like, hey, thanks. And then like you don't get to it because everything probably has like maybe a 48-hour shelf life.
shelf
Like if
life.
I pull something back from a week ago, sometimes I can get away with it. But for the most part, if I don't get it in the agenda for the show, it's pretty much cooked. We've
Dog.
moved on.
I mean, like for me, like I forget the tweet even existed if I don't react to it. So
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
sometimes I feel bad. Honestly, I feel worse when I get to it, but I'm tired and want to end the show. And so I just like I'll get to this later. That makes me feel worse because it's like on screen, and I'm like,
Kris put out an episode this week that we're recording on Tuesday night, I think, and he had the most complimentary things to say about Kirkwood and Dunn. Like, there's a whole segment of it, and I saw it that night, and then I wake up the next morning, and he's made it private because he just was like, "This show, I'm so like, I don't want this out there because it just was not that great or whatever." And
dude,
I'm like,
I
"But that
had
was the
two.
nicest." I'm gonna clip your part. Like, give me the clip of you talking
You
about
can
Kirkwood
have
and Dunn.
that. You can have no, you can have that and take it over to
All
Kirkwood
right.
Dunn if you want. Like you can
Okay,
have that clip
maybe
and
I'll
do it
lead that. Maybe I'll lead that one into this
and
episode,
do
like the
whatever you
preview.
want with it. Just leave out the Bryce Underwood segment, bro, because that was rough for me.
Yeah, I do think when you're on the internet as much as you are in that rivalry, because you are doing a college football show that is supposed to be neutral, and we're seeing that in the
Yeah,
Indiana space where Galen Clavio, who you've been on a draft
I
before,
love Kalen.
he's trying to do a national football show and not be Indiana guys. And it's called Football Weather with Matt Belaska, who is it's a really good show, but it's mainly Indiana fans at this point that are listening to it. You're doing a show with Chris and Tyler, or your guy Tyler, and it's called Chris and Tyler, and you're trying to do like a national perspective, but how do you prevent yourself from being, going off on Bryce Underwood? You guys just had a whole take about what Indiana's going to do to Bryce Underwood, like for like
Yeah.
20 minutes, and I loved every second of it as an Indiana fan. But like, how do you prevent yourself from letting those show through?
I try to not talk about Michigan, to be honest.
Yeah.
Like because I feel like generally speaking, like I know I will talk about them, but if I make internal notes like, hey, to talk less about them unless there is something outside the rivalry that's newsworthy, then that's kind of like my stance. And I try to like remove myself. I try to remove Underwood from the picture because if I remove Underwood from the picture, it waters down my analysis a little bit. Well, it takes away like the sparkle from my analysis a little bit, but I'm able to focus on like the running back room as they actually are. I'm able to focus on like the coaching staff moves that they made. Like I'm able to focus on like what they could or should be on defense. Because I think what's kind of happened with Michigan as of late is that at least shows that I've listened to national shows that I listen to don't actually analyze Michigan. It's just become well, if Bryce Underwood levels up, we'll see what they can be. So my choice is to kind of like avoid that and take some shine off of it. And when I do that, I'm able to talk more freely and fairly about Michigan, because my big thing is I think Underwood stinks. Like, as a player, I think he stinks. And as a quarterback personality, I think he stinks. And because I am like firmly cemented on that, and part of it is rivalry talk, whenever I do talk about Underwood, it's going to come across as like some huge hater stuff. So like on that show in particular, that's how I try to kind of skirt around it. But if I am critical of Underwood, I will counter it by being super critical of Julian Sayin as well. So it's like, if I'm going to upset the Michigan
you're hard on him. Yeah,
I'll absolutely upset the Ohio State fans too. What I'm most proud about on that show, though, is like the research and homework I've done on the USCs of the world, the LSUs of the world, like my takes on Indiana's of the world, the Notre Dame's of the world. Like, that is what I think I'm most proud of. I also like am thankful enough like to have 2 Ohio State outlets. So sometimes I'm just like Ohio State burnt out, like whether it's Menace or whether it's Signal Loss, because I do a lot of Ohio State stuff at Signal Loss. So that's how I try to balance things on the national show. But I go in every episode, highlight 2 little dogs, highlight a sleeper team, give a reason for the sleeper team, and then really talk about kind of the web of coaches. And I think that's one of my strong points too, because I have friends that are coaches that I've kind of met throughout things and like talk to coaches. And one of the things that I love learning from them is about like the coaching web of like who's been where and who's been what. And my favorite one is like the Joe Moorhead one. Obviously, like, he's an Akron guy, but like talking about like Joe Moorhead discovering Joe Brady and then bringing Joe Brady with him to Penn State, and then, calling Sean Payton, hey, I got this kid that you would like. And then, Joe Brady going to New Orleans, then Joe Brady going to LSU, and then, Joe Burrow linking up with them. And then like, I'm obsessed with that kind of thing. So I do on the national show talk a lot about what coaches have been where, and kind of like the bounce around for when I kind of project out the season.
Okay, so let's wrap this up, because I try to keep these short so people can enjoy their coffee and get the No. It's totally fine. I had Sam on this week as well. It's going to be Aaron. I don't know which order that 2 of you are going to go, but if I'm going to ask you 3 questions, so quick fire questions. Who is the next coach to win a national championship who has not won one yet?
Dan Lanning.
Okay, Sam said the same thing, but I actually knew Sam was going to say that. I didn't know if you were going to say that. So who's the next coach?
The next after Dan Lanning. Marcus Freeman.
See, I was going to say that's why I asked Sam this, because I knew he'd say Dan. So it's like, I need to know who that second. So he said Marcus Freeman as well.
And then third is let's see, I'll go 3. What's the third? Jed Fish.
Boo, gross. At which school?
The Jedinator. Washington's going to do it, dude. I need
No way. He's going to be gone from Washington in no time. The only reason why he's not in Michigan is because, Jed Fish, his whole career, he's never stayed at anywhere very long.
Yeah, and he a little birdie told me he tried to leave Washington last year. It wasn't.
I mean, there was some legs to the whole private investigation. Like, when Michigan's not hiring you because of things in like your background, like that should be red flags, because Michigan, we know where that's at. So, okay, third thing.
Wait, let me ask you a question. Let me ask you a real quick question. Who's going to be the next Indiana head coach? Is it Shanahan? Is it Mike?
I think, man, you're getting me in trouble in the comments.
Okay, never mind.
No, it's totally fine. I actually believe it will be Mike Shanahan over Brian Haynes.
So do
because
I. Personality.
Because I think Brian Haynes is the most likely to get a job right now, because he's like a hot name.
Yeah.
But I think Mike Shanahan's like calm demeanor and like stuff like that. Like, in a perfect world, he's the next coach, and Brian Haynes sticks around like a Buddy Ryan, like situation, like the Chicago Bears. Yeah, just runs the defense, and Mike Shanahan just takes the SIG role as a CEO.
Okay, so that's my number 3 then, Mike Shanahan.
Yeah. Okay. Ooh, I like that. Man, do you think we're gonna have repeat national titles for the next 5 years then? Like mostly?
Kirby, Ryan, Dan, Freeman, Sig. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I can see that. All right. Well, who's a quarterback that we are not talking about right now on a national level that will be at the top of the list next year? Like, he will make the top of the list next year.
Top of the list next season?
Yep.
Like this, not this upcoming one, the next one?
Yep. So like,
Oh
assume
gosh.
we're talking about Arch Manning. Arch Manning's gone. Like
Yeah.
he'll be gone probably. Dante Moore will be gone. So who's up there?
Juju Lewis at USC. Yeah.
Nice.
That's my take.
I got distracted by the Juju Lewis comment, and then I was like, oh wait, he didn't say Colorado. He said USC.
Yeah.
You
Juju
don't think
Lewis
he's going
at
to come to
USC.
Indiana? He's best friends with Tino Sinceri.
Dude, I had the alternate timeline picture. That's one of my favorite photos ever. Also, dude, I saw the Indiana I hope you're on screen. The Indiana shot, like their media shot. The promotional shot of the promotional shoot was so aesthetically pleasing, and then it immediately transported me back to the Julian Lewis one of him just holding a guitar outside.
So I'm actually, again, you record these so early that people have probably already seen this, but I'm actually going to clip your comments of that and put it out there, because I want to give a huge shout out to our media team, because they have gotten a lot better than what they were. And this is the modern media that he's talking about. And you 785 Sports is a K-State account. So everyone them talking about Indiana, like those are two diplomas. That's a K-State one. That's an Indiana one, right? Yeah. So
dude,
and
but
of
the
course
thing is, what I want to highlight is that's a promotional shot of the promotional shot. So that's not actually the shoot, but it looks so good.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's in, people can correct me in the comments. I think they're actually shooting in Indiana's auditorium. Like the big, nice auditorium with 3,000 people, and that's the stage that they're on.
It
so
looks incredible.
Yeah, it's pretty sick. But yeah, I'm gonna clip that because I think those guys need to get some cred for that. Okay, yeah, Juju Lewis, I like that. I think Sam said Kamario Taylor. Man, now I'm gonna have to put yours out second because I just spoiled that one. I just spoiled both of them. Okay, let's see. What was the third one that I want? Oh, Indiana's weakness. What do you think is Indiana's biggest weakness going into the year?
I told this to Sam. I don't even know if it's a
Which, by the way, Kris does a daily or weekly show with Sam that is fantastic. You should all go listen to that. Yeah.
Honestly, that's the show. If you want unbiased media take, well, I'm biased. But if you want 85% unbiased media takes, me and Sam every Tuesday is the one.
Sam is really good at not letting on that he's a Michigan
fan. I try to get him to crack every now and again when I get over there. I try to. Indiana's weakness, maybe not a weakness. Honestly, the weakness is, will a coaching staff let Josh Hoover be Josh Hoover? I don't want clean football from Josh Hoover. And I'm curious if the coaching staff is going to want clean football from Josh Hoover.
You want him to sling it.
You have to, yes. I think his greatest strength is his greatest weakness.
When we did our slot analysis, we said that one of our SWOT analysis, we said that one of our weaknesses is going to be that Indiana's offense is going to be more inefficient this year, because last year they stayed ahead of the chains. Everything was always third and four or less, because they'd always get chunk plays.
Unless I'm tripping, I think you guys are going to run the ball better this year.
But, well, there's some debate on that. But because I think Indiana fans discredit what Roman Himby and Kalen Black were. We just assume we're going to be that good in the running back room, and maybe we are. But I
know I'm more talking about the interior of your offensive line. I think is going to make you guys an on-schedule monster.
But what I'm referring to is what you're talking about. If they let Josh Hoover take shot plays and big plays more often than they did Fernando Mendoza, that can create an inefficient offense. Because what normally you would go on a short route or run the ball from 2nd and 7 to get to 3rd and 4. Now you're throwing 20 yards down the field at 2nd and 7 and you miss because those are low percentage plays. Then you're looking at 3rd and 7, which makes you less efficient than you were if you just kept moving the ball. That's the only thing that I think.
Did you hear my explanation when I talked to Sam about this? It's deep shots this year are the 3-point shot in the NBA. You're going to look at some outings and it's going to be Harden was 4 for 18, but ended up with 26 points. That's because of the 3 ball. That's what it's good. So the offense is going to definitely feel efficient, but there's going to be some explosives, because I think this year with quarterback play and receiver play, and I think that college football might be deficient in corners this year. I think shot plays are going to be the new 3-ball, and I think there are 6 universities that are going to really take advantage of that. And so at times it's going to feel inefficient when you have a quarter when you go 0 for 12 from 3, but then if you have a quarter where you're 6 for 12 from 3, it's like, oh wow, they just blew the doors off this game.
And that is Christopher Drew. You can follow him at _Christopher Drew, and that's Chris with a K. You can find him there. You can follow Dead Air Sports at Dead Air Sports. They put out some great clips of including Signal Loss and Buckeye Roast and I-71 and Chris and Tyler. Those are the shows that are out there. It's great. Dead Air Sports is a great channel to subscribe to, which is collaborating on here. So if you're a Dead Air Sports fan and Chris fan, like you should subscribe to Kirkwood and Dunn right here for 100%. Our stuff, which I appreciate. But then Chris also does Menace Sports every day at noon.
Yeah, dude, every day at noon. That's the
so if you want an Ohio State take, go listen to Menace Sports. I think they do it live, so you can interact with Chris in the chat. Yeah. Right?
That's the only live show I do, dude. I don't do anything else live other than that. People are always like, "Why don't you Signal Loss live?" It's like, guys, I don't know. Come to Menace, but yeah. Thank you.
All right, thanks everybody. That's Kris Drew. Good morning. Enjoy the rest of your day. We'll see you next time.
Hot, hot, hot.